welcome to another exciting edition of Explore Richland. I'm your host, Mark Ingham. Well, what a beautiful day here in the city of Richland. The perfect day to get out and explore in our community. Now today we are in North Richland visiting a historical site that you may not know exists unless you happen to work in one of the businesses nearby. That's right, we are north of Hanford High School, north of WSU Tri-Cities, on the corner of Richardson Road and Port of Benton Boulevard at the amazing USS Triton Sail Park. Now this park was dedicated back in 2011, and to talk about the USS Triton and its historical significance and what the Triton was, we are pleased to welcome Marv Keeney to the program. Marv is the Special Projects Coordinator with the Port of Benton. Marv, thanks so much for joining us today. Now Marv, a lot to talk about, and I have so many questions. I'm so excited to be here. I am so excited to share this park with our viewers. But I'm just going to have to kind of take a breath and start from the beginning. So Marv, can you start by educating us on what the USS Triton was?
Okay, the USS Triton was the first submarine to circumnavigate the world underwater in 1960. And it's the only, and what you're seeing is the sail, which is the top part of the submarine. This sail's one of the largest sails in the world too, and people think it is the submarine, but it isn't. It's just the top part. It's also the USS Triton was the first U.S. Submarine to have 2 nuclear reactors in it. Wow. And it had 2 screws with it too. It was actually a pretty fast ship for its time in 1960.
Okay, well that's amazing. And no doubt, you know, this is an amazing piece of American history. I'm just kind of curious how it ties into the history of Richland. You know, the Triton sailed out of Groton, Connecticut, and I don't believe any of the crew members on board were from Richland. So
actually, there were some.
Okay, great. Yeah. Great. So why did bringing this to Richland make sense?
Well, how this all started is our commission said we should show something with our partnership with the Navy. And we've had a contract for years to unload the spent nuclear reactor cores right over here on this barge slip. Oh, wow. And so one of the commissioners said, Marv, see if you can get us a submarine. And, and that's not going to happen because they won't even go through the locks. So I called the Navy, had some contacts, and said, what's your idea? And they said, why don't you get a sail? And at the time I said, what is a sail? And they said, well, come on over to, this is from Bremerton, by the way, and it said, come on over and we'll show you some sail parks in western Washington. So I did, and then we actually saw the USS Triton before. What happens in Bremerton is when they mothball fleets or they just continue them, they bring them all the way to Bremerton and they scrap metal them, tear them apart and sell the scrap. So we actually got to see the USS Triton before it was dismantled. This is the only thing left of it is the sail. And so that's how it started. We wanted to show our partnership with the Navy, and then we brought this here. We had to cut it up in 6 pieces, and we trucked it on over here. And the conning tower, which I'll show you later, was on a separate truck that we brought over. Brought it all up here. We hired Lamson Crane. They put it all back together, and then we welded it all back together. And we put the conning tower in the ground first. Then we put the sail on top of it, and then welded it all back together.
Wow! And so the original reactor engines were disposed of
here
at Hanford.
Right.
And you mentioned we did actually have some local crewmen or crew ladies, someone local on the ship. Maybe talk a little bit about that.
So we went and tried to get a sail, and when I started trying to get the sail, the Navy said, hey, you might want the USS Triton. It's a very historical submarine. So we put in the paperwork, and all of a sudden they said, well, I'm sorry, I guess it's spoken for. And it was the USS Triton crew members. They have a website, and they have they meet reunion. And so I backed off, and we were looking at some other sail, and then they called me back up and said it fell through. But since the crew knows all about this Triton been here, so we've had crew members from all over the United States come here as one of their goals is to go through the sail and that. And there's, I know of 1 and I think maybe 2 that live in the Tri-Cities.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that served on it.
That's great. So now, Marv, another amazing aspect of the Triton Sail Park is that you can actually enter the Triton sail, look at the original controls, touch even the periscope.
Right.
Let's go check it out.
As you can notice, it's kind of catacombed in here. And this is the sail, so when the ship submerged, this filled up with water.
Oh, wow.
And so, and then the conning tower's down below, and this hatch here sealed the water off. So this would be all full of water for it to stabilize it, and then we could go down into the conning tower.
Wow, so not only are you underwater, the submarine is actually full of water as well. That sounds pretty
The sail's full of water.
The sail is full of water as well. Well, let's go ahead and lift up this and go down and check out the conning tower.
Our lives and safety in the skilled hands of the men who manipulate the controls. The Triton, like all nuclear submarines, represents one of man's great strides forward in harnessing the fantastic force of atomic power.
Now we have entered the conning tower, which is absolutely amazing and fascinating. Just kind of talk us through some of the gauges, some of the equipment you can see down here.
What you see here is all from 1960, and it was the state of the art. All analog, not digital. There was 2 periscopes here. There was one over here that came up, and they would look at that and you could see long distances. And this periscope would come up, it's called an attack periscope. It's very, very clear and very precise to see. It goes out about 3 to 4 miles.
Wow.
And so this is the pilot's seat.
Okay.
And you see there's no window.
No windows.
They would open this door up when they were going, and usually they'd yell back and forth to one another from the ship down below. There is another control room right like this down below. So they had 2 control rooms.
Okay.
And so what they could do is seal themselves off from the ship and control the whole ship from up here.
And now this room, obviously the ship was about, I think just under 500 feet long when it was
About 600, yeah.
About 600 feet total. This room, pretty small to me. So how many men, women were in here working?
About 4 people could be a navigator, captain, like here's a plotter. So that's about all they could have in here. There wasn't much room because when you put the other periscope in here, you can see how narrow it is. So.
And now, Marv, I'd like to think, my pride would like to say that I'm getting some special treatment here, that you guys just unlocked the sail for me, my show, but that's not the case.
No.
The public is invited to take a tour of the Triton sail. So how can people make that happen?
Yeah, since 2011 when we started this, we've given multiple tours. And how you do that is just call the Port of Benton, 375-3060, ask that you'd like a tour, and we'll try to accommodate whenever we can.
Well, that's amazing.
Now, I might mention, so I forget this, there's other sail parks in the United States. This is the only sail in the United States that has a conning tower and a working periscope inside of it.
Wow. That's great. And I know we've said it, and maybe people already are going to just know this, but I mean, for me, it's just fascinating to know that this is all original stuff. This isn't like a remake of the Triton. I mean, this is it,
This is the real equipment that was in 1960.
Well, it's just amazing. And, during a tour, you really get the feeling that you're part of this, you're part of the crew, which for me isn't a good feeling because I'm claustrophobic, and this is kind of a little too small for me. No windows, you're underwater. But I mean, thanks so much for showing us around the USS Triton Sail Park. I had a great time, and I strongly encourage anybody watching this program, go ahead, go visit the Port of Benton's webpage, learn about the sail, and schedule yourself a tour because it's truly fascinating. Now, if you have any more questions regarding anything going on in the city of Richland, I strongly encourage you to visit the City of Richland's webpage at the link below. And of course, if you're not following the City of Richland on all of our social media platforms, I encourage you to log on and give us a like on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. We're always sharing tons of important information on our social media platforms.
Well, Mark, this isn't the end of the tour. We have one more place I want to show you.
Oh, let's go check it out. Well, Marv, you weren't kidding about one more stop to show us. Holy cow, this is amazing. Now, not only am I claustrophobic, but I'm also deathly afraid of heights. Well, thanks for joining me on this edition of Explore Richland. We'll see you next time.